1986 Padres are about as talented a group of young men as you can find in baseball, and our job and objective is to get them to have their peak years and bring a championship to San Diego.
The 1986 edition of the San Diego Padres is going to be an aggressive, hustling, and entertaining club. A club that should be a definite contender.
Hello, everybody. Bob Chandler from the Ray Kroc Baseball Complex in Yuma, Arizona, where the San Diego Padres are preparing for the 1986 Major League season. We thought we'd entitle this program A Sense of Yuma, as in a sense of how the Padres are preparing for the season in Yuma, Arizona. And a little bit later, we'll hear from the general manager of the Padres, Jack McKeon. He'll kind of give a grade on the Padres and the various aspects of the club as it prepares for the championship season. And once again this year, we're excited to be bringing you folks on Cox Cable and Southwestern Cable selected home games on a pay-per-view basis. And hey, we get started on Friday night, April 11th, when the Padres take on Pete Rose and the Cincinnati Reds in beautiful San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. And believe me, after a long winter, we are ready for the season to begin. The 1984 season was a high point in a 17-year Padre history, climaxed by winning the National League Championship. But last year, the Padres did not fare as well, eking out a third-place tie with Houston in the National League Western Division. But this is 1986, and everyone here at the Ray Kroc Baseball Complex in Yuma is determined to make it an outstanding Padres season. So let's begin our special report by meeting new Padre manager Steve Boros to find out his personal philosophy and his goals for the 1986 Padres. Managing the Padres in 1986, I mean, it came out of the blue, and yet you seemed so prepared. How was that?
Well, Bob, I'm lucky in that I've got some experience in running a big league club and running a spring training camp. The first few days were hectic because not only did I have to get a spring training program started, but I was a new manager, so all the publicity and the interviews that had to go with the new manager took a lot of my time. Plus, I had to turn my duties over as coordinator of minor league instruction to Greg Riddock, so I attended many meetings so that that transition went smoothly. So I was very busy, but I was so excited about the prospects. I didn't sleep much, didn't eat much, but didn't need to. The adrenaline was really flowing.
Steve, is it possible for you to summarize your philosophy on managing a ball club?
Well, I think that what a manager has to do is show confidence in his players. And if they do badly, you got to let them know that they're capable of better things. And one way to do that is to get out in the field and work with them and teach. And not simply say this player is a bad player, there's nothing we can do about it, and leave it at that. I think you can pat a kid on the back, and that helps. But when you get out there and work yourself and spend some time showing him he can improve and that you're going to show him how he can improve, that sends a message to the player that you indeed have confidence in him.
Steve, what did you learn from managing the Oakland A's that might help you in managing the Padres?
Well, I think that I realized, first of all, that umpires perhaps aren't as professional about their work as they should be. I'm not going to say that they're all perhaps a little lax in their duties, but many of them don't work as hard at their umpiring as I think our players work at their baseball. And my job, I think, is to get out there and let them know when they're not working hard and perhaps not giving us the effort they should, and then, of course, to protect their players. And I also realize that fans like to see the umpire out there, and I'll be getting out there a little more often than I did with the Oakland club.
Steve, I recall reading an article about you when you were managing the A's, how your philosophy changed a little bit from that of the importance of a running game to the importance of power. Can you expand on that?
Well, I like the running game, but I'd like to supplement that with some power. I like the three-run offense that Earl Weaver speaks of when you get that home run in a key situation. But we'll supplement that with the running game, and I think we can do that in this club because we've got some young players, and I'm speaking primarily of Martinez and McReynolds and Kennedy, who really haven't reached their potential, I think, as power hitters. In addition, hopefully, we'll have some youngsters who will be running more. Tony Gwynn, Kevin McReynolds, and who knows, Biff Roberts might be on the scene, and even Gary Templeton has stepped forward and said he'd like to run more. So I'd like to have both things going for us, and that gives us an offense that can do many things to score runs.
Steve, at this point, we don't know whether or not Jack McKeon will make a trade. If he doesn't, have he got enough to contend right now?
I feel we do, Bob. It'd be nice if Biff Roberts could make our club as a second baseman. He'll get that opportunity. It would be nice to get more speed and get it in the way of a trade, and I know Jack's trying to do that, but that's not essential. This club won a championship 2 years ago. Basically, it's the same club. I think these young players really, as I said before, haven't reached their potential, haven't had their big years yet, and they've got that to look forward to. And I think this club can win intact, and especially with the new influx of young players. And I'm speaking now of Walter and the Colors and perhaps Biff Roberts.
Steve, everybody's rooting for you. Good luck.
Thank you, Bob.
Padres play at home, so can you, but only on cable. To bring Padres home games to your home, call Cox Cable or Southwestern Cable. Do it today.
Defense. They did, in fact, make a trade, in case you had not heard. Their first pick is 6'3", 250 pounds. He ain't the biggest defensive lineman of all time, but everyone loved him. Leslie O'Neal of Oklahoma State, who is what they call a relentless pass rusher, and obviously he's got to be because he doesn't have that kind of 290-pound size, but this guy was rated right up there with Casillas of Oklahoma and John Hand of Alabama. And it is a trade they made with the Minnesota Vikings today, where they traded up to get into Minnesota's pick, and in trading gave Minnesota one of the Chargers' #1 picks and a #2 pick, and in exchange also got a Minnesota #3 pick. You follow any of that so far? The important thing is they got O'Neal as a defensive lineman, someone who could actually rush the passer. Imagine. Yes. So I assume they will use him as a defensive end in the 3-4 alignment. Leslie O'Neal, 6'3", 250 pounds, from my alma mater. How bad could he be if he's from Oklahoma State, right? If he's an Okie, he's okay with me. People love it. They do. They get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they wait all year for this, and they study their charts. They don't understand. It's only a draft. They don't understand. The Chargers got, as we told you before, after a trade with Minnesota, swapping #1 positions, Leslie O'Neal, defensive end from the Oklahoma State University, and James Fitzpatrick of USC. My favorite part is Fitzpatrick is 6'8", 290, and football people say has great growth potential. To be what, a truck? What is 6'8", 290? We'd like him to be 420, so we're just going to wait and see if he grows. Yeah, I think he's large enough to begin with. Here, by the way, are the 2 first-round picks, and the Chargers got what they needed. They got a defensive guy who can rush the passer, and they got a guy who can protect Dan Fouts, and those are 2 things they wanted desperately.
I put so much pressure on myself to go out there and perform, and the fear that I have within myself that I won't be successful, that any kind of pressure they would put on me wouldn't be that much. Right now, my upper body strength is not really near what I would like to have it at. I've only been hitting the weights now for 2-3 years, and I know that I've got a lot of room for improvement, and I think I can put on a lot of weight in the upper body, and I think it could only help.
That's the 290-pound Fitzpatrick, who will soon be 440. O'Neal, Fitzpatrick, then, of course, they traded away their #2. They got a #3 from Minnesota in that deal, so they have their own 3 plus Minnesota's. Terry Unrein, who is a defensive end from Colorado State. Jeff Walker, an offensive tackle from Memphis State. Now to the 4th round, they get Ty Albert, a linebacker from the University of Texas. A linebacker, a real live linebacker. Also in the 4th round, Tommy Taylor, a linebacker from UCLA. Linebackers, Doug Landry, no relation to Tom. Linebacker, Louisiana Tech. Don Brown, cornerback of Maryland. Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson, who is a safety from USC, is also from Chula Vista, by the way. And their 6th-round pick, finally a wide receiver to make Don happy. Kurt Partridge, wide receiver, taken from Northern Illinois. Here is the guy who was taken, obviously, before anybody, Bo Jackson. People are saying this is the greatest back ever to come into pro football.